Goeiedag, good day, fellow South Africans and citizens of the world. And there's a very interesting development. It looks like the mainstream media is starting to have a go at each other in South Africa. And we're talking about the Independent or IOL newspaper having a go at the Daily Maverick. Now, just for the record, one of the funders behind the Daily Maverick is, unsurprisingly, George Soros and the Open Society Foundation. And of course, they are just so thick as thieves amongst the ANC hierarchy, you wouldn't believe it. They're basically setting up the policy for South Africa. But in this article by the Independent online newspaper, they say, after President Cyril Ramaphosa's somber and depressing monologue to the nation on Thursday, it is safe to say that South Africa is on a slippery slope and the very edge of a precipice that threatens the security of our sanctity and our economy. It has now become evident that those who are behind the so-called New Dawn will stop at nothing to make themselves stinking rich, and by any means necessary. That means even using certain platforms of the Fourth Estate to drive their agendas and fight political battles. We're talking about the media. The Daily Maverick, the online newspaper funded by the Oppenheimer and Afrikaner interests from Stellenbosch and owned by Serbian Branko Brick, is a case in point. Once again, they appear to have outdone themselves as protectors of President Ramaphosa and the New Dawn's constructive looting campaign. And of course, let's not forget Open Society Foundations as a funder. Last week, an expose led by independent media's Pete Ramperi and followed up by other media houses revealed how a portion of the 500 billion rand that was allocated by the Ramaphosa administration to fight COVID-19 had been looted through the awarding of PPE or personal protective equipment contracts to individuals with close proximity to the president. Social media was once again abuzz about how a company that has no website and no prior experience in the health space was awarded a 870 million rand contract. It's called corruption. It's rife right through the ANC. Anyway, let's continue. Another, which was awarded a contract worth 150 million rand, was only registered a few weeks prior to lockdown. However, closer to the president's home was the story of how his own spokesperson, Kusila Diko, was exposed as potentially influencing the awarding of a PPE contract of 125 million rand to her husband's company, Royal Barker. The company was awarded the contract despite having no experience in PPEs. The company was newly formed and he is the sole director. Isn't that cozy? Additionally, and over the last few months, cronies of the New Dawn administration, especially those associated with state-owned enterprises, have been exposed to have looted these entities to the extent of tens of billions of rands. That's billions with a rand. Look at Eskom as a prime example. Under the Ramaphosa-aligned Pravin Gordhan, as Minister of Public Enterprises, it has been shown that the power utility's Chief Operations Officer, Jan Aberholzer, has a massive conflict of interest and assisted companies in which he had shareholdings to win contracts from South Africa's chief energy supplier to the tune of tens of billions of rands. An internal investigation showed that Oberholzer was found to have committed some serious transgressions, and it was recommended he be disciplined. However, the newly appointed spokesperson at Eskom, Sikontati Manchachacha, crafted a media release claiming that there were no adverse findings against Oberholzer. This release has now been proven to be a lie. Manchachacha is a former employee and associate editor of, guess what? The Daily Maverick. These matters of grave national importance that reveal that all is not well within the corridors of power or the darkening hallways of state-owned enterprises are merely given a lip service in terms of reporting by the Daily Maverick and its cohort. Instead, it appears as if there is an active deflection campaign in place to divert the public's attention away from what is really happening at state by casting aspersions where they are not warranted. To illustrate this point, look no further than the very obvious Daily Maverick propaganda piece around the Sizwe IT Africa Group, or Sizwe, contract with the Eastern Cape Department of Education. Talk about inflated numbers and misleading information. The Daily Maverick and its writers are clearly in need of some education themselves, specifically maths. In their article, they claim the e-learning contract awarded to Sizwe amounts to 528 million rand. This is incorrect. The entire contract is some 458 million rand, including VAT. It equates to approximately 204 rand per learner per month for a fully comprehensive e-learning solution. This includes a tablet, 4 gigabytes of data per month, the e-learning platform, security backup assistance, etc. As an aside, the Eastern Cape is ironically a Ramaphosa stronghold, and the data that has been provided with the contract is by MTN, chaired by a Ramaphosa ally, Mkhabisi Jonas. Nowhere in the Daily Maverick article is Jonas mentioned, nor is MTN for that matter. Truth is stranger than fiction, however, and well-placed sources in the Eastern Cape government indicate that the noise about the tender is sour grapes, emanating from Vodacom. The Vodacom consortium failed to win the contract despite having had it for many years through multiple renewals. Vodacom was in partnership with a Nigerian businessman in the Eastern Cape who is known for his corrupt activities. The name and the affairs of the businessman are known, and all will be revealed at a later stage. Let's look forward to that. More importantly, much more will be revealed about the relationship between this businessman and the husband of a senior minister inside the Ramaphosa administration. What the Daily Maverick is not telling you is that the fight over the e-learning contract in the Eastern Cape was between two Ramaphosa allies and another faction in the province. So even the cadres are now starting to fight over stealing money. Quite incredible. You'd think there's enough to go around, wouldn't you? The only company that had the capability to provide a comprehensive e-learning system at the time of the request was Sizwe IT. The company's solution was the only one that was capable of delivering to all 75,000 pupils in the Eastern Cape, and within the time span required. Sizwe IT not only delivered the tablets, but also uploaded the e-learning material on each tablet, insured each tablet, because one would expect them to get lost or damaged, and has provided maintenance for the tablets and worked with MTN to ensure that data is optimized for each pupil and teacher. What the Daily Maverick won't tell you is that one of the most efficient and effective e-learning contracts, and in a region that has been devastated by the inability to deal with the COVID-19 impact on the healthcare system. For once, the Eastern Cape government and its education department should be applauded for thinking ahead of the curve, especially after Ramaphosa's announcement yesterday that schools will be closed for at least a month and learning will be extended into 2021. Clearly, if the Daily Maverick had their way, it would have meant that many pupils would not have had access to learning during these difficult times. The Eastern Cape Education Department has made it possible for learners to now continue their curriculum via these tablets. Ramaphosa's statements on closing schools did not apply to private schools, and again it shows that the private school sector, where the privileged send their children and who can afford tablets and computers, not only remain open, but can even do so with remote learning. Many funders have questioned why Ramaphosa acted selectively by closing public schools but keeping private schools open. Well, we know why. Because Ramaphosa's children go to private schools, don't they? You know, this is called black privilege. Could this extremely unjust, highly controversial and seemingly irrational decision be anything to do with the fact that the president's brother, Douglas, has been appointed to the board of the largest private school company listed on the Johannesburg Stock Exchange, Kuro Holdings? This is what you call keeping it in the family. Far from having our children and teachers' best interests at heart, it is plain to see that these decisions are based on whatever financial interest is driving the agenda of those in charge. Daily Maverick's poor reporting can also be seen in how it positions the article in question, referring to AO Technology Solutions and Sizwe as Ikwaba surveys. This is a shameful and deceitful propaganda campaign against Dr. Ikwaba Survey, chairman of Independent Media, and Second Jalo, which knows no boundaries. They've published almost 100 articles over the last few years to tarnish his reputation and to try and destroy independent media. In this shameful article, they once again try to link Survey to a legitimate and above-board contract in the Eastern Cape by referring to Sizwe IT Survey owned. What Daily Maverick is again not telling you is that Survey is not a shareholder nor an official or director of AO, and only has an indirect shareholding at AEEI, as it is Second Jalo Investment Holdings, the company of which Dr. Survey is chair, that has the shares in AO. AO in turn has shares in Sizwe. You can see how it's like a web, isn't it? It's like a spider's web. You know, all the money gets stuck in the spider's web. Despite knowing full well that the contract had nothing to do with Survey, the Daily Maverick tries to weave his name into the story, making their intentions obvious. It appears they are labouring under the mistaken belief that by putting pressure on Survey, then his publications will hopefully stop exposing the corruption of the Ramaphosa administration. What is particularly concerning, though, is how every time there is a story or media queries from independent media that touch on the president and his cronies, the Daily Maverick issues a counter-article with the sole apparent purpose of deflecting unwanted attention. This is what our media industry has come to. For those like the Daily Maverick and cohort, truth and facts come second to using their voice and reach to fight political battles and protect business interests. Cloaked under a veneer of media responsibility, they have been able to infiltrate the homes of unsuspecting citizens. Enough is enough, though. It is time this is stopped. Well, let's face it, all the mainstream media in South Africa is fake news. There is no doubt that the people of the country are tired of the looting of this country, that there is looting of this 500 billion rand raised to support those in need from the fallout of COVID-19 is far more than a disgrace. It is a human tragedy of the first order. That this appears to be indelibly linked to the ruling administration is tantamount to treason. It is a total betrayal of trust. It is. It's a total betrayal of trust. To counter these developments and to ensure that our so-called leaders are accountable to us, the People, independent media, has established a revamped and well-resourced investigations unit which will expose the looting by close allies of Ramaphosa that amounts to tens of billions of COVID-19 funds. Think about it. Tens of billions of rands. Anyway, Ayanda Mduli, who's the editor of this particular newspaper, says, "It is my firm belief that today's pathetic article by the Daily Maverick is a preemptive strike by the Ramaphosa faction to prevent the expose of the real corruption that has become to characterize his tenure as president." ANC, the gangster state. Alright guys, please remember to subscribe to be kept informed. Ring the bell for the updates. Please like this video. Please share this video. And above all, please stay safe.